Hi everyone, welcome to the Impulso podcast by Momentum Works. Today, we're talking about the recent quick commerce wars in China. And before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So the reason why we're talking about this is because recently a couple of the players have come up and released some very amazing numbers, right?
Very large numbers for
Very
sure.
large
Yeah.
numbers. So on 4th July, Alibaba announced that their daily orders for quick commerce, so I think this includes quick commerce and food delivery, exceeded 80 million yuan a day.
80 million orders. Yeah.
80 million orders a day. And then the week after, Meituan also released saying that they exceeded 150 million orders a day.
That's like larger than the population of many countries.
Yeah, so that's
lots of bubble tea.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's a lot of bubble tea.
So if you add the three places, there's probably like 250 million orders a day. That's a lot of orders for.
Yeah, you'll be very happy there because all my friends in Beijing are saying that they're drinking a lot of bubble tea every day because it's free. Some of the orders are actually completely free.
Oh, like
So
the
you pay
drink as well.
Some of them you pay absolutely zero to get the order.
If I'm there, I will drink bubble tea like 3 times a day, 4 times a day. I'll just order until I run out of vouchers to drink bubble tea.
There was this order that somebody did that he ordered like 2,200 cups and paid close to zero.
2,000?
Yeah.
Not for himself, right? That's mad. I can't even drink that much bubble tea.
I don't know. I think the shop assistants in the store went crazy. They said,
Yeah,
look,
but that's kind of ridiculous because
if you look at Starbucks in Singapore, they do like what 280, 290 like cups a day, and if you think about, somebody has to fulfill like 2,000 orders in the next like
an hour.
This
is like quick commerce, so it has to be half an hour. That's mad.
It is mad.
And no way anyone is making money from a transaction like that. The only person gaining value is the consumer. So how did we get to this
How do you
point?
get here? Yes.
Yeah, how do you get to the point where someone can order 2,000 cups of bubble tea essentially for free? Because this war kind of didn't escalate so much. It was pretty recent, right? It only started like earlier this year.
Yeah.
So how it started was that in February, JD entered the food delivery scene. And of course, they started with this sort of zero commission thing, right? But why were they so aggressive?
I still remember like about 4 or 5 months ago, February, March, there's a lot of chatter about JD, which used to be the second largest e-commerce player in China, focused on the premium segment, right? And then they entered food delivery quite aggressively in February. The founder, he actually went to, Richard Liu, he actually went to deliver the food himself. So
when they started.
Yeah, so I think they staged a very, very interesting sort of PR campaign around that. So the founder went to deliver himself, and I think they pledged to treat like every rider as brothers, and they paid them the full like no social security and stuff, and then blaming Meituan for not paying enough to the riders in terms of social security.
Something about like hiring the riders as like full-time employees.
Yes.
Which is kind of different from what Meituan is using.
Which I think everybody who is rational in the industry would know that. If you hire all the like millions of riders as full-time employees, the economics will not work.
Yes.
So he will still do that because I think from a PR point of view, JD was a much smaller player. So for them to sound virtuous, it doesn't cost them much. But if Meituan were to follow, it will cost them a lot to get all the
for all the riders
like
that they
5.7 or 6 million riders, and all of them, if you get social security for all of them, that's going to cost a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
But of course, when JD entered, 2 months later, Alibaba themselves also kind of entered into the quick commerce space. So they kind of consolidated all their quick commerce offerings into Insta shopping.
Yeah,
this was right before like the May holidays in China.
Yes, they actually announced that they previously planned to join, but because May holiday was coming and they saw some like effect from JD, they said, okay, we should join earlier. And I think that would take a lot of sort of decision making from the highest level, probably Jack Ma. So a bit of history. Alibaba acquired this food delivery player called Ele.me in China, I think many years ago. They've sunken probably like $100 billion into this company. And Ele.me had been competing against Meituan on food delivery, not winning it. So this time around, I think Alibaba is doing it a little bit differently. So instead of putting lots of resources on Ele.me, which is a separate app, etc., so they actually put all the efforts into Taobao. Taobao is Alibaba's main app. Historically, Alibaba has been trying to foster other apps like Tmall, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, Taobao is the app which has the most users, close to 400 million daily active users.
So they're trying to consolidate all of it into the Taobao app.
Yeah, and they put all the food delivery offerings into that. So I think from that perspective, you would know that such sort of coordinated effort would not be able to get done if it's not from Jack Ma or somebody like at least at his level, but nobody else is at his level.
It has to be a very top-down approach, right?
It has to be. I was talking to some friends from Meituan. They were saying that they were expecting Alibaba to join to douse JD earlier rather than later. But I think the day afterwards, things went a little bit out of control, right? I mean,
yes. So I mean, obviously, when all the players entered, they also kind of started a little price war, right? So they all started pledging subsidies. So I think JD pledged
10 billion?
10 billion yuan in subsidies, and then Alibaba themselves committed about 50 billion.
Yeah, they made a pledge saying that over the next year they were going to spend 50 billion.
Just to kind of boost like the Insta shopping, which is why someone was able to buy 2,000 cups of bubble tea for free.
Yeah.
Almost for free.
I mean, of course, do you know how these vouchers actually work?
Are they stackable vouchers?
They're very different kinds of vouchers, right? The mechanism of voucher in China has become super complicated. But we have also seen mechanisms like what Meituan has been doing extensively. Meituan will go to a merchant and say that, okay, I'm going to buy, I don't know, like 500,000 drinks from you across the country because it's a chain. And I'm going to offer that to consumers for zero.
Oh, okay.
And the consumers have to go to the store to pick it up themselves.
Oh, so it's not a delivery, it's a pickup.
Yeah, so lots of these orders that Meituan have announced 150 million are actually pick up. And of course, you will see people arguing saying, no, this is not really for delivery. You're not really winning the war. But I think since this like war's meaningless anyway, so why don't you just procure this? I mean, you probably pay 3 to 4 yuan to buy this in bulk, and you offer to consumers for free, and it doesn't occupy your delivery space, which you need to pay the fulfillment network.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, it might come back, I mean, cheaper compared to if you were to like
just give a lot of subsidies,
just give a discount,
for free delivery discounts.
Yeah.
But the war has kind of escalated quite a lot that even the government or regulators are starting to get concerned, right? So last week we published an article called What Does Beijing Really Think About the Quick Commerce War, where we talked a little bit about what the regulators have been saying. So
this is actually interesting, and you need to understand lots of nuance to understand what the messages regulators are trying to send. There are 2 articles from the People's Daily, which is the official newspaper of the Central Committee of the Communist Party, which is obviously the highest propaganda machine. And one of them is critical, saying that, there's no winner in the price war, and you can only have a future if you innovate. The next one, coming from a different department of People's Daily, is saying that, because there are more orders and lots of SMEs are actually benefiting from that, and that's good for consumption.
Very mixed messaging from the same source.
It is very Chinese. So basically, government is sending a message saying that, we welcome the positive aspects of that, boosting consumption, benefiting SMEs, but we don't want it to be out of control.
I mean, obviously, with what's happening now, I think there's a lot of like, I want to say artificial demand. Like you're not actually creating orders just because of how cheap it is. But how sustainable it is in the long run.
It is not sustainable. Everyone knows it.
Yeah,
everyone knows it.
How much money can you burn?
For food delivery, for the beverage market, it has probably reached a peak. So whatever demand you create on top of that is not going to sustain. I think the real war here is on the instant retail quick commerce part. So people say that is because JD started this war in February because they attacked Meituan. But what happened before that is Meituan consolidating all their quick commerce and instant retail offerings into a single offering called Meituan Instant Shop. With Meituan now, you can sort of buy electronics, buy branded goods, etc., fulfilled from the brand stores, like almost real time, like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So that is a big problem for JD, which has built a lot of warehouses, a lot of distribution centers to be able to deliver next day. So they feel threatened, and I think it's right for them to find ways to counterattack, to remind consumers that JD can also be fast, and it can still be fast. Yeah, and I think it's the same thing for Taobao, right? I mean, they have all the brand relationships. They have a fulfillment network in Ele.me, so naturally they want to defend their turf in e-commerce. This what happens in
Yeah.
a war, right? Because everyone is trying to calculate what the
What's
other's
next?
motives and move
And then
are,
what can I do?
and we see. And that, I mean, in some of the immersions that we did in China, we see that how people monitor their competitors real time, right? So you look at your competitors, say, hey, are they going to release lots of vouchers? If they do, we're going to preempt. I think the key executive admit that even you talk about all the historical, like, internet wars, tech wars, subsidy wars, and none of the historical ones has burned as much money as what we're seeing now.
They burnt a lot. And I think there was a very interesting interview by Pu Zhong, who is the CEO of Core Local Commerce at Meituan.
Yeah, he doesn't give interviews.
No, this is his first public interview.
Oh, it's his first?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
his first. And it's also the first time in 8 years that a executive at Meituan has come out to give like an interview.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. I mean, very unlike JD, right? Who's like over the place in PR.
So very different. So the interview will be linked down in the show notes below
In
if you
Chinese?
guys want to check it out. It's in Chinese.
Oh,
you
you can
can use
translate,
Google Translate. That's what I did.
Or ChatGPT.
It works, yeah. But I think it was very interesting because in the interview he talked a lot about Meituan's strategy and what's happening now, right? General summary, he seems to think that the entire war,
It's
subsidy
pointless.
war, is pointless. And he feels that the only reason why Meituan is participating in this war is just retaliation because their competitors are doing it.
Yeah.
And he thinks that there's no point. So he mentioned this point about subsidies creating a sort of demand bubble, and how all the order numbers are so inflated now, and that the competitors have to look beyond order numbers to actually start looking at like what's the average revenue you're getting per order. Otherwise, you're just burning money for nothing essentially.
Well, I mean, this is common knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So what people didn't notice is that a day before this interview was published, there were a number of articles syndicated into Chinese media, probably by Taobao or Alibaba, saying that a lot of the Meituan orders are just zero yuan orders, right? Consumers not paying anything. How is that sustainable? So I think he was in a way responding to that message, and also in a way sending a message to Alibaba saying that, hey, you guys should probably de-escalate because we have the means to defend if we need to, but we don't want to do this. So that's sending a signal, right?
That's his warning. Yeah.
Yeah.
He mentioned a lot that like we can do it, but we won't lose as much. We won't burn as much money as you guys will burn, but we don't want to do it.
So here comes the interesting question, and obviously Alibaba is much more profitable than Meituan, and I think it also has much more cash. But the issue is that the core business is still e-commerce on Taobao, right? So this is a new business. So are they going to spend all their sort of reserves to actually fight this endless war, or would Meituan, because this is their core business, they have to defend it? I mean, this is just no other choice.
Yeah.
So behind yourself is the cliff and the sea. So you have to defend it.
But he also talked a lot about the business model of, and this is something that we've talked about in a lot of previous podcasts, right? Obviously, food delivery itself is a very operationally intensive business. A lot of it is about minimizing, like optimizing small parts of it to be efficient. And that's how Meituan has kind of managed to succeed. That's how they managed to grow their scale, right? So the question is, with Taobao and JD just sort of throwing these subsidies, will they be able to make their fleet as efficient as Meituan to actually compete on a level more than just subsidy wars?
I think unless the people I know, generally, they believe that Meituan is the most efficient in terms of the whole operations, from planning to optimization. And they believe that, Alibaba, if Jiang Fan, who leads Taobao, right, if he puts his real sort of attention on it, and if he can streamline the organization, they can probably be efficient as well. Nobody holds very high regard for JD in that regard. I don't know why. and it's just people don't seem to think that JD is a relevant player.
They asked him in the interview if they saw JD as a competition, and his response was, ha ha ha.
And he also made a not joke. He said that the fiercest competitive city in China during the carnival is Suqian, which is the hometown of the founder of JD.
Yeah.
I think he probably mentioned it as a mockery or something. But it shows that that Meituan probably doesn't take JD very seriously, but they take Taobao reasonably seriously, and so that executive comes out for interview first time in 8 years and to send a message. I think one question which is probably relevant for the rest of us is that would this war continue, and if it continues, would it distract Meituan's sort of overseas efforts, right? They are They are expanding from Saudi Arabia to Kuwait, Qatar, and UAE. And there are
Plans to Brazil as well.
yes, and there are rumors of them sort of looking at Southeast Asia, etc. Because at the end of the day, I mean, the leadership attention is limited. But then so first, I don't think they will lose this war. So eventually, how things will settle, right? I think if things settle in a way that if they still own like 65-70% of the market share, that'll be stable. Because once you are 70, you don't have incentive to beat the other one who's 30, because the cost of like getting like additional market share will be very high. But if it ends up with 60-40 or 50-50, that would not be stable. Then we'll
prolong the war a little bit.
Or at least it will take lots of attention, because I mean people know that it will not be stable. So I think when it comes out to different countries, it's by itself is very challenging. So
it's already very time consuming.
It is. But we look at certain markets, right? I mean, look at Saudi Arabia, look at UAE, you look at Brazil, etc. You look at incumbents, you see how fat the profit they're making, and we're then saying, oh, we're doing with so much efficiency in China, the margin is so low, and we must have lots of opportunities there to attack. So let's see.
We will see. But of course, I don't expect this price war to continue that long either, right? Considering that last week, all three players were kind of summoned by top regulators for discussions.
I think my understanding about regulators is they probably just set boundaries. I think it hasn't reached the stage where they're asked to stop. I mean, historically, there were like 2 or 3 instances where the regulators asked the players to stop certain things. But this time, it seems that it's just a tea session.
Okay.
And
it's more of a discussion, like it's drawing some boundaries.
Yes, and if you operate within these boundaries, then you'll probably be fine. But if you step over, then we're going to come down. Yeah.
So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Impulso podcast. We hope that you guys enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date on the latest happenings and trends in tech, new retail, and the broader digital economy. Thank you and bye-bye.
Enjoy bubble tea.
$0 bubble tea.